Alright guys, this is a piece of this is this pattern paper we've drafted, and now we want to do pattern alteration to get all the other parts of the dress. Like if you are making a trouser now with your own pattern, you will need to create a band. Okay, so I tried making the band, but the camera was not well positioned, so I'm going to show you how you take out the band from the trouser. First of all, you have to eliminate the darts. So let's do it for the back piece so that we will all see clearly. Now for the dart line for the back piece, all you have to do is eliminate this dart line, fold it in like you are sewing in your darts. Now that you've done that, you will now take out the band. Now you can use 2 inches or 1.5, but for this we are using 1.5. So we're going to mark the 1.5 all around, and noting that this dotted line is not straight, they are a bit curved. So for that, when we are trying to join them together, you use a curved rule to bring it home, to do it like that, to join it together, so that to have the consistency to come out nice. Okay. So when you do this, you can cut it out, and then you will have whatever is left is the remaining part of the trouser. The 1.5 you cut out will be the band. And also don't forget that when you are sewing it, you add your joining allowance that you're going to use to join the trouser to the band. Okay, that's for when we're sewing trouser. But when we're sewing trouser in our next video or in another video, we're going to explain better with illustration. For this pattern I created today is for someone with very big hips, like it's for a larger measurement. When I create another one and I'm going to be sewing trouser with, I'm going to go ahead and explain everything again bit by bit so that we can all follow along. Okay, all right, so this is how you remove your band. But for this jumpsuit, we do not need to remove the band because we need the band as part of the dress. Okay, all right. And if for a jumpsuit as well that also has a band on the waistline, this is also how you achieve it. You get? So there are jumpsuits that also have bands on the waistline. You can also remove the bands and then reattach them to create the band of the jumpsuit. Okay, let's take note of that. All right, since that is done, let's take out this back piece and then I'll show you guys the other alterations we need to make. Now for this alteration of you have to get your zipper fly and the band and your pockets. You can also take note of the basic measurements and the standard measurements of all this thing. Now for your zipper fly, you can use 6 inches, like 6 inches from here to here. Let me get the piece of paper and show also what we are trying to say. Now you can place a piece of paper under here to extend it, and you can get your, let's pin this down. I'll take it out later, but let's show us what we're trying to say. So you have to come down by 6 inches or 7. You can use 7 inches so it will be better, more comfortable. And then you come out here by 1.5 inches. You come up here by 2 inches, and then you are joining it together. Bring this together. You can come in by half of an inch. You can come in here by half of an inch or quarter of an inch to create the curve that you see on zipper flies. Okay, so let's cut this out so that you will see what we have done. This would be your zipper fly if I was sewing a trouser that needs a zipper fly in the front. This will be the zipper fly. Now, and then So you can also detach the zipper fly and reattach, or you can sew with the method where it is extended and you use it just the way it is. Okay, I have to show us that. That's part of the alterations you do in your trouser making. Then the next one you do also is the pocket area. Now for you to get the pocket area measurement, depends on how the shape of the pocket you want. The shape of the pocket you want, the one that the pocket line is comes way inside, and it gives you a lot of space for your hand to go in. Or you can make it so it's very close to the side seam, anyone you want. But for this, we are going to be using 2.5 inches. We're going to come in by 2.5 inches, and then for the pocket opening we need 7 inches. Now the truth is, the size of your pocket mostly depends on you, but the standard size of the pocket is supposed to be 11 inches by 6 inches. And note that I am opening the dart when I'm taking the pocket. Okay, ignore that, it's that is supposed to be by 6 inches. Okay, by 6 inches. So you can just come here and come down like so. You just come down and join these two lines. You can come in here by 1 inch or 1.5 inches to create the curve that comes in your pocket. Now you connect these two places. From that place you just connect it. Okay, now for this 2.5 inch you've taken out here, you can still come down here, take another 2.5 inches, connect these lines, and then from the 2.5 inch you've taken, you can come inside by 3/4 of an inch or 1/2 of an inch. Let's just create a straight line first so that we will not get confused. Then from this end of the line, you just come in by 1/2 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch, and then you connect it with your curve. You can do it this method, or you can also go all the way. Just take this hip curve and just come from this place and just go inside. I need a different color marker so that I can differentiate this. You can just go inside and voila. Okay, let's use a black marker. Now this can also be the opening of your pocket. Instead of having it to be so bold, you can use this method. I think I like this black one better. Now this pattern paper, because I still need this pattern paper, I am going to have to transfer this pocket that I have created, transfer it onto this place. Now how do we do that? Now if you have a light pattern paper that can transfer lines, this would have been really nice to transfer it. You see where I'm dotting it out? Come all the way. You can just recreate this so that you can match it and redo it. By the time you do that, you get exactly the same thing. And then here we need here. We need the notes where. So to recreate this is where we are. Okay, join this place together. Join here together. Come in here by 1.5 inch. Use your hip curve or French curve to connect this place to this place, like so. And then come here with the this is a 2.5 inch. that we came in for the side, and the 7 inches for where the hand will fit in. Connect these two together. Now this upside, this front part is the cover, the pocket cover, while the back piece is the cover, the pocket bag. Now we have to also recreate this again because I have to cut it out and rematch it again because I'll be needing 2 pieces of it if we are sewing this pocket. So let's go ahead and do that. Cut it out. But with a tracing wheel and the right pattern paper, you can actually transfer all of this that without having to guess. But with these two, you can get it right. Okay. Now I have to cut these pieces out, and we get so that you see the difference between the pocket bag and the pocket cover. So we need to get this back. So for that, we have to pin. Okay, we've done that. Now the top one is now going to be the pocket cover. So let's do that. Take this part out. Okay, here it is. This is the cover. This is the bag. Okay, this is our pocket cover, and this is our pocket bag. Okay, so when you place it together, they match, but it leaves you the opening where the hand can perfectly fit in. I hope you can see this, where the hand can perfectly fit in. So you can return this back to this place, and you see that return this right back here. See that it fits where it was taken out from. Okay, this is for this. So this is a pocket cover, and this is one that should be on top of it. But that's what I want to create. And so now we are going to go and cut these pieces out and head into sewing. Now we've already cut out our trouser piece. Okay, let me bring out the trouser piece and do my alteration on the trouser piece because. And okay, please also note that when you are when you are cutting this pocket covers, the number or the quantity of inches you are going to be leaving for the seam allowance on the main pattern paper on the trouser, that will be the same one you are going to be leaving for both the cover, pocket cover, and the cover pocket bag. Please note, let's take note of that. You must add, if you are using 1 inch allowance to sew, you are adding 1 inch allowance on both sides of on the sides of this, and then you can now add half an inch to join it so that when you sew it, you get exactly the same size of pockets. And this is quite okay. This pocket is beautiful. This is like a standard for it, and you can also alter it. Okay, now this pocket now was cut with the inclusion of the band, because this jumpsuit does not have a band. Let's also note that and have that in mind. Okay, let's go ahead now and cut our piece fabric, place our pattern on the fabric and cut out the fabric piece, and then we'll head over to the sewing machine and start sewing. Let's draft the bodice for the jumpsuit. So the half length we are working with is 17 inches, and I'm going to be putting up 17 and a half, which will be the sewing joining allowance. going to be used to join the upper bodice to the trouser part. So 17.5. When drafting your bodice, and you have to divide the measurement in half, you start by you use the measurement, the largest part of the measurement of the body of the bodice you're drafting, which here is bust, and the bust is 39, which is divided by 4 will give us 9.25 inches. So we're going to go ahead and use, say, since we have enough material, enough pattern here, I can use 11 for it. It doesn't even need a dart. This dress is not going to be using a dart. It's going to be having a lot of allowance. It's going to be free. So let's just go ahead and use this 11 so that we can accommodate the free nature of the dress that we're making. So we need the same thing here. Let's do the 11 for the back. Okay. This bodice is going to be having a it's going to be buttoned down up to the half length for the front. So they're going to be buttoned all the way down to the front. Okay, so we're going to also include that space for the button when we are sewing. It's very important to include it. Now, I usually leave 2.5 inches extra for when I am creating the dress that has front buttons. So now that I've forgotten to include it here, let me include it from the back so that I can extend the back. Okay. Let's so I can extend the back. Okay. So the back has to be extended so that everybody will be on the same plane. Alright, so let me remove the 2.5 I need. The 2.5 I need for the front buttons. So now let's introduce the measurements of the person. For the shoulder measurement, we're working with 8.5. So 8.5. Oh, perfection. When I'm drafting the front bodice, I come down from the shoulder slant 1.5. But for the back, we go by 1 inch. Now, because this dress is not going to be having this, it's going to also have a zip at the back, even though it's having buttons in front, because the buttons in front only stops at the half length. And you know, jumpsuit, for you to wear a jumpsuit, you have to wear it all the way from down. So it has to be, the zipper has to get to the hip line, so that when the person is wearing it, they can easily wear it comfortably. So for that, this dress is having both buttons in front for the upper part, and also having a zip that runs through to the trouser part. So we're going to include that when we're measuring, taking a measurement. So like, these are very, very important things you have to also note. You cannot be making mistake when you are doing it. So I'm going to be taking this out as our zip line, zip allowance. This is very important, take notes. You have to study what you want to make to be sure of what you're making, that when you are including it in your measurements, you would not forget. So now I have to mark out 9.5, including the 1 inch I have marked. Okay. Alright, so for us to get the armhole, to know where the armhole of the person is, we have to divide the bust measurement 39 divided by 6 plus 1.5. That's giving us 8. So I'm going to mark the 8 inches from after the 1 inch slanting for the back part. So we are coming down by 8 inches. So here is the armhole line, which means it's from the shoulder line. This is going the main shoulder line before the slanting is going to be 9 inches. So I'm just going to extend this place to this place so that these two we can connect them. So this is our shoulder line. So I can now bring this thing down, mark it all the way to the shoulder line. Okay. Now for the shoulder measurement, for the armhole measurement, for the back, you divide the back in half. You get your, this is 4 inches here, since it's 8. You come in by half of an inch. Use your straight rule to join it to the slant, to this where the slant started, and then you use your armhole curve to give you the armhole for the dress. Now for the front part, you come up by 3.5 inches. These measurements are pretty basic, so, and then you can use 0.75 or 1 inch at your own discretion. You take the line up the way to the slant, where the slant started, and then as well use your armhole curve to connect it to the armhole line. Now you're having a really beautiful armhole here. If you look at it, you see it's coming together really cool. Alright, so now the next thing to do is to take in our neckline, neck measurements. Now the basic neckline, you have to divide the bust by 12 to give you the round measurement for the neck. So we have 3.25. So I'm going to ignore this 2.5 inch that we have here for the buttons, and I'll come in here and measure the 3.25. And I'll come down by the same 3.25. Then I'll use this my armhole rule to connect it together, and then with the help of the straight ruler, join here and here together. Okay. And for the back piece, you have to also come up by 3.25, excluding the zip line, the zip allowance. Let's also note that. And then for the back, because the back is supposed to be high neck, it's going to be high neck. It's like a shirtless dress. It's like a shirt dress with neck with collar. So because of that, it has to be high. And so for that, I'm going to be using half of an inch, and I'm basically guessing it with my hand, and I'm using free hand to connect it here. Now that's it. And then with the help of the straight rule, you connect from there to the slanting line. It's looking like a bodice, right? That's the thing about you can work both of them at the same time. Okay, now from the shoulder to the bust line is 11.5 inches. So you're going to bring down these measurements to help you okay. And then you know that this down part, because we are not going to be covering it out so much, and there's no princess dart or there's no basic dart, You do not, now you have to just measure the measurement of the waist and just impute it, because the waist for this dress there will be no darts. We're not using the dart for this dress. It's free on the waist area. I'm just going to give it a little freedom, okay? So for that, so we now have to impute our horizontal measurement. So for the bust now, 39 divided by 4 will give us 9.75, and we want it to have a little bit of ease. So let's just work with 10. So come here and you take in your 10. Okay. The same thing from here, you take in the 10. So this is basically it. Okay. Okay. Now for the waist area, the waist is 34 inches. 34 divided by 4 will give us 8.5. So instead of 8.5, because we need to have a little bit of ease around that area, let's leave it at 9 inches. Do the same thing for the back. And note that when I'm taking the measurement for the back, I am not starting at the 1 inch for zip allowance. You have to remember that you're not going to start at that 1 inch. Okay, now we'll connect these lines together. I can't wait to make bodies with you guys, and I like working with fun designs that really gives you, gets you working. Okay, now I'm going to connect this 3.25 inches for the neckline. Bring it down to the allowance for this. Now you can also go ahead and add your 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch allowance all the way. Bring it down. You can do the same thing also for the shoulder. You add this joining allowance. That way you won't have to forget when you are transferring into your paper. Okay, now I'm adding this 1/2 inch all the way. Note that, so that when you are now sewing, you won't need to add it. And I'm also adding the 1/4 inch for the neckline joining. Do not forget that as well. Okay, so now that we have this, these are basically our measurements for this dress. I can now cut it out. Also include the zip allowance when you are cutting. Don't forget 1 inch. Alright, so here we are. This is the basic bodice for this jumpsuit, the top of the jumpsuit. This is how it's going to be. Okay, now we have that. The next thing to do is create a sleeve. Now this looks big enough to get our sleeve, so let's get to it. So the sleeve length for this dress we're making, for the first, it's supposed to be long enough to get to the ankle, to the elbow. So we're working with 24 inches. So I'm going to mark 24 inches. 24 inches, and this sleeve has an elastic band on the wrist, which means we are going to be making the wrist side very free. Okay, now to also get to draft your basic sleeve, this is how I like to do it as well. You have to also take this measurement the same way you got your armhole. You're going to divide your bust by 6. which gives us 6.5. You add 1.5 and gives us 8 inches. So we're going to measure this 8 inches all the way down. Now when you measure that, you can now add 8 inches down. You can now add your sewing allowance. So if you want to use 1 inch allowance to sew this dress, you can now add the 1 inch, because the same allowance you are adding to your sleeve. Or you can use more, so let's just use 1.5 for ease, because the owner of the dress asked for it. So we're going to use 1.5 inch so that if the person wants to adjust the dress in the future, that's their choice, you know. Okay. So I can cut out this. Alright. Now from here, we're going to bring down this. When you divide the bust, for you to get the sitting of the armhole, where the armhole sits, you divide the bust by 12, which gave us 3.25. So I'm going to mark 3.25 all the way here. Join it. Now, excluding the zip allowance, the sewing allowance area, excluding this, you have to come here and connect this line to the edge, like you're seeing what we're doing. Excluding this part, that this is the sewing allowance, you are working with just here, the middle part for now. Okay, now for here, you come here and you look for the middle of this slanted line. You can use the old school way, fold your, although this old school way it weakens your tape roll. So I can mark it here, and I come here and mark this middle. So you can come down here by 1/2 inch. For the front part of the, for the front part of the armhole, you come down by 1/2 inch, and then you connect it from the end of the beginning. You just mark it all the way to the 1/2 inch that you have marked under, and then use your reverse your curve and bring it down and take it to the beginning of the armhole. This is for the front part. You can smoothen here up so it doesn't look like it's a big point. And then for the back part, you come up by 1/2 inch and do the same thing. So now when you are cutting out this dress, this sleeve, you can do well to cut out the back first. After cutting it out, you will now adjust it, and this is it. So have the down part representing the front and the up part representing the back. Now I can now add my own sewing allowance. The allowance I'm going to use to attach this sleeve to the body of the dress. So I'm going to be attaching my 1/2 inch sewing allowance all the way, and then I can cut it out. I want to believe we got this explanation. Let's see. If you stay tuned to our channel, of course you'll be getting all of this explanation often. When we recreate designs, like similar designs, you also have to recreate it. So this is exactly how it's going to be. At the end of the day, we're going to fold in with 1/2 inch and then put our elastic band, because these are going to be for a follow-up. Alright, this is where we are at. So now it's time to transfer this pattern paper to fabric.